backwoods.
Born in the backwoods.
Raised by a bear.
Raised by a bear.
Got cast iron nuts.
Got cast iron nuts.
And 2 coats of hair.
And 2 coats of hair.
Got a stainless steel dick.
Got a stainless steel dick.
Yeah, it's a mean prick.
Yeah, it's mean prick.
I'm a mean motherfucker.
I'm a mean motherfucker.
Who don't take no shit.
I don't take no shit.
So,
Dude,
I'm very happy that you're here today.
this is a very exciting moment for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at what you've built here. This is amazing. I'm proud of you, man. This
Thank
is
you.
awesome.
That genuinely means a lot.
Yeah.
I'm loving what you're doing so far with CRF, which is why I wanted you to come on here as soon as I could get you on here to kind of talk about what you guys are doing, talk about yourself a little bit, and just give insight to other veterans how you became the person you are today and kind of what led you down that path that you think might. You'd be surprised how many things you've said or other vets have said that I've heard that I'm like, man, I never thought of it that way, or man, that's a good way to look at it in a leader's kind of view, and just living your life in a different way that makes you a better person and a better veteran, which is kind of like the whole point of this. Is to anybody that might be listening to it that's like, man, I should stop being a turd, which was my problem. But I love what you're doing, and I just wanted to make sure that it's out there for everybody to see.
Well, thanks, Joe. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be here and chat with you about it. And, I appreciate how involved you've been in our organization since the beginning. And so, this is it's really fun because we've worked together for so long and we've been friends for so long. And now we have this opportunity now in this new lives that we've both built for ourselves to collaborate once again. And I think that's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Is there anything in that? I'm kind of, my brain's everywhere because I want to ask you like a million questions. But if you could just give people kind of a quick synopsis on your time in the military, and basically like a short little bio, kind of like
Sure.
when you got online.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so I joined the Marine Corps right after September 11th, and I was an explosive detection dog handler, and I deployed to the Ramadi region of Iraq, and spent a little bit of time there, and then after the Marine Corps, I was a police officer briefly, and as that experience ended in a suicide of a colleague. And then went into security consulting, and that's where you and I met.
Yeah.
Right?
The most fun.
Yeah, the most fun. Have gun will travel, right? That was fun for what it is. And then we did you ever know Big Al?
No, I mean, you know how well I am with names.
Yeah.
So I might have, but is
Yeah.
that somebody in the security atmosphere?
He was in the security industry, so he and I ran a company together. I'm just trying to remember when
Precision.
you and I met. Yeah, Precision.
Right? That's right.
Yeah, and so anyway, so he killed himself in 2019, and so at that point I found myself working in suicide prevention, and so that kind of brings us to where we are today. And I started the nonprofit that we've been talking about, Combat Recovery Foundation. And yesterday we had an internal training, and we did QPR training, and then we did a resilience training, Adapt and Overcome. It's a training that I wrote, and it's internal to Combat Recovery Foundation. And I think that brings us up to speed to what we're talking about now.
Hell yeah. What's the biggest misconception about in the veteran community and the military community that people get wrong?
Yeah, that's easy. So people will say the word 22 a day for veterans gets thrown around a lot. The VA says it's 17.5. The truth is that unless there is a clear-cut note or some other like irrefutable evidence that a death is that death will very, very likely be ruled an accidental death. And then compounding that, there's no database in which you can put a person's name to identify whether they were a veteran. Kind of seems like there would be, but there actually is not.
For people that have committed,
Well, really for anyone, but
no registry.
there's no registry. There's no. So I guess what I'm saying is, as a death investigator, once again, if there's no evidence or indicators that that individual is a veteran, and there's a lot of veterans who don't have indicators of the fact that they served, then that death doesn't get ruled a veteran death, right?
Right.
So I guess what I'm saying is, you asked what the misconception about veterans it is, and it is that we know how many veterans kill themselves, because we don't. That's the
Right.
misconception, is we have no idea. But estimates are as high as 44 a day. And other estimates will say that veterans are 4 to 6 times more likely to kill themselves than the average civilian.
What do you think that, just in the people that you've met, that you've spoken to in this atmosphere, what do you think is the main reason for that? Do you think it's like PTSD? Do you think it's previous things that they went through prior to joining the military? Because whenever I go through the VA or CMP exams or anything like that, it's like, yeah, no, all your issues you're having are obviously from before joining the military. It has nothing to do with Iraq, Afghanistan, nothing to do with that. What do you think is the main cause to get veterans in that mindset?
It's a confluence of issues. You certainly hit on a couple of them. There's the traumas and dramas that are encountered during service. There are those adverse experiences that happen prior to service, and people who go into the military and to first responder trades have a high rate of adverse childhood experiences. And then is, at the end of the day, it is a measurement of impulsivity. But more than any of that, I think the greatest contributing factor is isolation. I think it's a lack of perceived purpose and belonging. It's a lack of community. When we go into the military, moment one, we've got community,
Right.
we've got responsibility, we've got purpose, we've got belonging. The kid who got there 5 minutes before you is in charge of you. The kid who got
Right.
there 5 minutes after you, you're in charge of.
Yeah.
Right? Immediately, you know exactly where you sit in the hierarchy, and at all times. And then we come from that, which historically for our species is a more natural way of existing, that group community lifestyle with a singular mission. We come from that into a very artificial environment of isolation, single family households, the nuclear family. All of these are modern incarnations. We come from a place of living in tribes of 8 and 80. And now, oddly, we live in a tribe of 8 billion, but we've
Yeah.
never been more isolated at the same time.
Yeah. My biggest fear when I was getting out was just getting out, because I joined at 17, and it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Can I even make it outside? And I got, a wife and kids at the time. That was the scariest moment for me when it came to life decisions, because, everything is planned and meticulous. I mean, to an extent, like the military likes, gaggling things together and making it that much harder for the soldier sometimes, but or Marine. But that in itself was the scariest moment, because you know what you're doing the next day. You know what you're doing next week, and things are kind of scheduled out. Right after you get that DD-214, it's like, oh my God, is this going to work out? Is this job I'm going to school for, am I going to be able to finish the school? And the biggest positive for me after I got out was I went into underwater welding, and it's like most of the people that were getting into that were all ex-military. So all the people I was at the academy with were all soldiers, or veterans. So it was kind of like I was jumping into the same thing. So I was getting my feet wet. But I know for a lot of guys that after they're getting out, it's like they're sitting there with their thumb up their butt. What do I do? I don't know. I'm gonna take a break, and like 1 month turns into 2 months. 2 months turns into 6 months of you just chilling at home. You don't have any direction. You don't know what you want to do because usually there's somebody telling you what to do. I think that definitely contributes to a lot of guys getting in that headspace of lonely, of, whatever it may be. Do you think there's something that the VA can do differently for veterans before getting out to make sure that they don't get in that headspace before leaving?
This gets tossed around a lot. Like we know this is a problem, but everyone's kind of trying to pass the buck on whose responsibility it is. And so let me just, this is just one person's perspective, right? Okay, the military's job is to fight and win wars and defend our nation, right? It's not actually there to raise our nation's misguided children.
Which is a lot of soldiers,
right? It's
What?
it's kind of become that to a degree. I was at an event recently and at a high school, and there was a teacher who came up to me and because I had said something to a kid that may have potentially dissuaded him from joining the military, because I was just kind of straight up with him about it can be difficult, right? And this teacher comes over to me and he's like, "What are you doing? How you can't say things about the military that's scary, because then this kid's not going to want to join it. And then what else? Then what's he going to do?" And because he was a problem
that's
child,
sad, man.
right? He was a problem child. And I'm like, all right, well, you're the high school teacher, right? So let me get this straight. This kid's parents didn't raise him.
Right.
This kid's teachers didn't teach him. And now you're going to send him off to a bunch of war fighters to finish him and turn him into a man? Probably actually not the system we should have set up, but it's what we've done to ourselves somehow. So, all right, now I'm on a rant. Okay. Now, as to the VA, look, that's a healthcare system, right? And yeah, mental health is a component of healthcare, and I don't know the degree to which we want the VA getting involved in vocational rehabilitation, because they've done an ass job of rehabilitating us medically. So I don't know. Do we want to give them more authority over more of our lives? Okay.
Why not?
So, okay.
What's the worst that could
So
happen?
if Big Daddy military is not going to do it, and Big Daddy VA is not going to do it, and Big Daddy government's not going to do it, and our literal fathers aren't going to do it because they weren't there, right? Okay, let's scratch our heads now and think about it. Well, historically, what have humans done in these scenarios? Oh, shit. We build communities,
Yeah.
right? So I think, if you're asking me, I think it's the responsibility of each and every community to have a mechanism by which they reintegrate their warfighters. I don't think historically it's ever been the job of a military to reintegrate the warfighters. I think it's been the responsibility of the communities to say, hey, thanks for going and fighting the wars that we voted to send you on. The people we elected deployed you on. No matter how we personally feel about that conflict, the people we elected put you there. Thanks for doing that. Now we're going to put the effort into reintegrating you into the community, because you're worth the effort, you're worth the investment, and that's the change that needs to be made in this nation.
Completely agreed.
Thank you.
Do you think, have you listened to anything from Doug Collins, the new VA secretary, yet?
Yeah, I haven't, and I'm wrong because I need to. And it's
Of all
and it's,
people.
I know it's been brought to my attention. I need to listen to it. I'm sorry, I'm ill prepared on that. I should have listened to it. I haven't got to it yet.
If I was going to recommend one of the videos for you to watch, at least podcast wise, it would be the Sean Ryan Show's episode he did with him.
I'll check that out. I'll tell you, I'd love to have a sit down conversation with that guy.
Oh yeah. So what was it you were telling me the other day in regards to cleaning out dead wood, trees, stuff like that? What's the plan with what you guys are doing?
So we discovered really quickly that veterans really suck at showing up to get help. But if you ask them to show up to help, they're really good at that. So we were gonna put on a retreat, and in the backcountry, we were utilizing this facility, and it's known as Cow Camp, and the facility was burnt down in an arson incident, and so as a result, rather than pursue that retreat, we shifted fire and no pun intended, created a backcountry Sawyer team that utilizes pack horses and draft horses and chainsaws, and goes in the backcountry with tents and sets up camp and cleans out wildfire burn scars to do mitigation and recovery work. And so, when a fire burns through an area, not only do you have the ecological destruction, but all of those trees now become what are known as widowmakers, and they become, potential deadfall. And so at any point, someone can just be hiking through that forest, and if there's a big wind gust, and we have a lot of wind here in Colorado, or, worst case scenario, some type of a microburst, that can be a lethal, incident. And so we go in with chainsaws and remove all of those hazards, and do other recovery efforts to make that land accessible again, and also to accelerate the process, the natural process of recovering from the wildfire, so that it's also a more effective habitat for native species.
Nice. Is there any big programs or events that you guys have coming up that you'd like to make sure people know about, and what it is you guys are aiming for with helping vets?
So with the Backcountry Sawyers project, we're doing projects all the time, all over the place. And so if anyone wants to become involved in that, they can just reach out to us at info@combatrecoveryfoundation.org. Or, you can find us at our website and get involved in that. In terms of events coming up, the next thing we have on the calendar is May 17th. We're doing a big military appreciation day at Max Line Brewing in Fort Collins.
Nice.
And so, yeah, anyone in northern Colorado can come hang out with us and rep their branch. We're going to dedicate 1 hour apiece to each branch of the military and try and see who has the most representation and the loudest representation.
Right. Who do you think's going to have the most?
I think the Army's going to have the most. I think the Marine Corps is going to have the loudest. And
Right.
I think the Coast Guards are going to be like the rarest.
No Space Force?
We do have a Space Force person coming.
Really?
Yeah, and I actually asked them to wear their uniform because I don't know what they look like.
It's a tinfoil hat.
I haven't
with
seen
like
them yet.
Jumpsuit.
Like little potatoes.
Private Potato.
Private potato.
No, dude, that's amazing. What gave you the idea of doing the camping style stuff with vets?
The outdoor piece of it?
Yeah.
I think outdoor education and nature-connected activities are crucial for recovering from traumas, and evidentially so, in fact. And so just, leveraging that is a no-brainer. But, it's one thing to go to a place in nature and to be healed by that, but it's even cooler to go and heal nature, and then through that process become healed by nature. And so you leave the land better than you found it, and then it leaves you better than it found you.
Nice. I know my favorite part of all that, especially when we were doing the Sawyer stuff, cutting those trees down, was seeing the horses go to work. Like that was very enjoyable.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to know more about what we're talking about, you can check out our documentary on our YouTube channel and see the horses, pulling logs.
Right.
Yeah, and everything else. Pat, the Percheron, he's pretty cool.
I think I put your commercial on the channel as well. So if you guys
Awesome.
want to check that out, it's an amazing commercial. The editing on that was great.
Yeah, that little teaser trailer.
Oh, yeah.
With the music and everything, and you're featured pretty heavily in that video too.
Oh yeah.
I don't think people realize when you go watch this video, you get a lot of Joe time.
Especially, you guys didn't put I put the one cut where John's filming us cutting a tree down.
Yeah.
But it was kind of stuck.
Yeah.
So we had to do like a back cut to it in an awkward position, and we wanted it to go forward, but the tree had other ideas and started hit down and then started coming back towards us.
Yeah.
So there's a shot of me running back towards John.
To camera.
Oh man.
It's a great shot.
And it's hilarious because I used it in the episode I did with Rick where we're talking about VA stuff, CMP exams, and things like that. And at the end of it, it's me going, and scene. And it's like the best ending edit for an episode. So I'm probably going to keep using that.
Nice.
But he's amazing. John's amazing with editing. He's
Okay.
definitely somebody I bug the hell out of, trying
Oh
to,
yeah, John. Yeah.
yeah, he's great, and the amount of work he's doing for vets is amazing. It sucks that he's down in Colorado Springs, but we got to get him up here
Yeah.
more.
That would be cool.
Oh yeah. If you had to give anybody advice that's about to get out of the military, whether it's helping prepare for
Have a plan.
right.
Have a freaking plan, and more than just a one sentence plan.
Yeah.
I don't if you're not familiar with what a SMART goal is, SMART, it's an acronym. Google that and run your plan through that litany and poke holes in your plan because if you don't, everyone else will. Yeah, I can't over articulate the importance of planning and how everybody I've seen, veterans that I've seen who thrive, who are like super successful entrepreneurs, who own multiple houses, who have PJs, like they had a plan, they had a trajectory. Have a plan, and then I think the next thing is don't be afraid to put people in your circle who elevate you, who drive you toward the execution of that plan, right?
Right.
And that's actually not to be super redundant, but therein lies the importance of having that plan, because if you don't have it, then you don't know, you can't look at your circle, you can't look at how you're spending your day and measure whether or not you're making progress towards your goals.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think it's hard for vets to, you are who you surround yourself with, which
Mhm.
is why I'm super motivated when I'm around you guys, because y'all are always doing some shit.
Love you, buddy.
Seriously, man. Do you think that's hard for a lot of vets, not just after they get out, but just in general?
Yeah, I think, well, not just veterans. I think all of us need to do a better job of making healthy, resilient communities that do stuff.
Right.
That serve. Like there's, I don't know. I was never, there's like the groups like the Rotary Club and the Elks and the Shriners and stuff. And I don't honestly really know a lot about what those guys do, right? But I think it's that type of stuff. I think they do that type of benevolent work. And then, there's churches, right? And there's groups out there who do good works, but I think there's not enough examples of that. I think you can maybe join a biker group.
Yeah,
Right?
Combat Veterans, I think, is what one of them's called.
Totally. right? You could there's the VFW, a lot of day drinking.
Yeah.
But there's not a ton of options out there, and I think that might be the problem. I think we need to create a lot more options, not just one. I don't think CRF is the answer. I think CRF is an answer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I want there to be a whole bunch of organizations out there creating just a myriad of opportunities, not just for veterans, but for people to come together and get involved in stuff and to execute plans together.
Do you think that's not happening as much because there's gatekeeping, or do you think it's like, I want my idea to be the one? Because that's one of the things I love about you is there's no gatekeeping. There's no, like if there's another group or foundation or whatever it is that's helping vets, you're there. You come to our events. And I mean, obviously we go to yours, so we kind of like blackmail you with it, but I'm kidding. But like that's what turns me off to a lot of these groups and foundations is you always get that vibe of, well, what are you going to do? You're going to somebody else's thing. You need to help with this thing. Don't go help them.
Yeah, there seems to be some degree of siloing.
Yes.
In some of these groups. That's probably not great. I believe in cross pollinating as much as possible, and showing up and bringing people out and all of that. And I don't see how there could be a problem with that. I don't know honestly how you can be working in this space and not want to collaborate. But I don't know. I digress.
Do you think that's the reason that the veteran community has such a hard time with actually getting things done?
Oh,
because there's gatekeeping or siloing or whatever it may be.
I don't think it's exclusive to the veteran community.
Oh yeah.
I think we have been in a mode for longer than I've been alive, but probably not much longer, of drawing a lot of lines and circles around groups of people and putting them on shelves and categorizing and you have this disorder and you have this thing and you are this thing and you are that thing, and everybody's kind of got their like little list of labels, and I think that creates a lot of opportunity for conflict between labeled groups. And I think that there are probably people that benefit from those conflicts, and they're probably the same people putting labels on a whole bunch of people. And so as much as possible, we just try to wrap our arms around humans and say, I'll tell you what, here's what you have to do to qualify to be involved in our programs. You have to be committed to not making more victims in the world.
There you go.
That's it. If you're still hurting people, I probably won't do business with you. And if you're not in a mode of hurting people ever or not anymore, whatever that looks like for you, then yeah, you have a place with us.
I dig that. That's the one thing that blew my mind and pushed me to go look for more foundations and groups is I went to the VA, I went to VSOs, and tried finding just a list of free, and I think we had talked about this before. My goal is to try and find certs or, just classes, workshops, stuff like that, a list of them that's free for veterans. Do you want to become a tax auditor, or not auditor, but like learn how to do your own taxes? And nobody wants to be a tax auditor.
I love that you started, do you want to become a tax auditor? It's like that was right at the top of my list. It goes helicopter pilot, firefighter, tax auditor.
Did they change that with the helicopter pilot school?
What? No.
With
no,
the GI Bill?
No, you got to finish up your tax auditor point.
Dude, squirrel. Fucking squirrel. I have never been able to find, or haven't yet been able to find, a group or like a class, workshop, or a list of those classes, workshops, whatever it may be, for veterans that's free, and you learn something. You're a part of a group that's learning that stuff with other vets, and you can take that information and go help other people with it, whether it's vets or whoever it may be. I haven't been able to find anything like that.
One of the challenges that I have been told exists is that the sheer volume of programs and the amount that come and go in a given year make it very difficult to create a common repository of this information. Because I agree with you, and it's a refrain that I've heard in a lot of rooms, and so
that's a good point.
You highlight a problem that I think has yet to identify its solution, but it'll never get solved if we don't talk about it. So let's keep talking about it, and hopefully someone smarter than us will point us in the right direction.
It's like, man, somebody should do this. Well, why don't you do it?
Yeah,
because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, that's that. You guys
but
don't.
I'm trying.
That's the thing is the world really doesn't want to be relying on you and me for this stuff. I'm not quite sure why we're in this position that we're in.
Wait,
here we are.
You want my help? Like, what?
Yeah. Here
no,
we are.
Dude, I'm. Every time I hear about a new group, get together, class, like the class that we had yesterday, I want to scream it from the mountaintops, and this is as close to a mountaintop as I can get. So, if there's any classes that you guys that are coming up, I am going to throw it on here.
Okay.
I'm going to let people know. But I really do hope that, Veterans Life Magazine, stuff like that, groups like that, and people like that, you can use them as like an outlet of, hey, can I put this in your magazine? Here's a list of stuff that's coming up. And even not like the actual dates or times, but this is a thing that exists. It is for free for veterans. Look it up. At least that much. I'm working towards, and I'm trying to put more stuff together, and working with you. And I mean, dude, Ray, I spent an hour and a half last night talking to Ray.
Really?
Hour and a half.
Awesome. Learned
5 new things, set up a podcast that we're going to do.
Great.
Dude, it was, and what was even funnier yesterday that we found out was that DVOP job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you guys both
we
applied.
had both applied for the same thing.
I know.
I'm like, it was your fault I didn't get the show. He's like,
he didn't get it either, right?
Yeah, he didn't get it either.
Yeah, no, I remember him telling me about that. Ray is great. I think. All right, so speaking salutogenically, we live in one of the fastest growing veteran populations in the country, and so to your point, there is this missing piece, and perhaps this is the circle where that solution is discovered.
No, I agree, and that's why I'm glad you guys meet so many damn new vets. Like the other guy, I forgot his name. I think it was like Tristan or something. The dude, no, not Tristan. He had his arm in a cast or something.
Yeah.
He heard it online. He's like, oh, I looked it up.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
How amazing is that?
Yeah. Yeah. He found us through a search engine.
Yeah.
Another dude who was there just saw the decals on Bob's truck. So yeah,
dude, I love it.
Yeah. I've also heard about sightings of your truck too, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's that badass camping truck?
Absolutely. People I've had people ask me what that new truck of ours is, and I'm like, which one? The red one, or the one with the camping rig?
Yeah,
that's
right.
the camping rig. That's Joe.
Dude, when you asked me that, I was like, as long as I can put something on the back that says, if you're going through whatever, call this hotline.
Yeah,
if you're in that mind space, which is the main goal of what we're trying to do, is we need to keep more vets, because we are such a small percentage. of the American people.
Yeah, we are, and I don't think people realize exactly how much they need veterans. I don't think they realize how valuable veterans are in that they're a known quantity. Every single veteran has passed some degree of physical and mental minimums to have earned whatever, been in the position they're in. But also, they sign on the dotted line to put their life on the line for strangers. That's, as far as I'm concerned, the most compassionate thing you can do. And so, when you have a group of people that have those baselines in place, why are you not taking advantage of that? As an employer, as a local municipality or county government, as a nonprofit, as community organizers, wherever you are in your place of life, you can benefit from having a veteran involved in helping you achieve your goals because it's what they're hardwired to do.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to bring up that you had brought up in your presentation yesterday was prefrontal cortex, clicking on, clicking off, and why does the mind shut off?
Okay, so I think we're talking about like fight or flight, like when you encounter a threat, and so your decision making gets routed through your amygdala when you encounter a threat. It's a little bit of a system hijack, and a way of looking at that is it's kind of your caveman brain clicking on. Other people may call it your lizard brain, but you lose access to all of your higher functioning, your language centers, your reasoning, and also the functions of like your rest, your digest, your reproductive systems. All of those things kind of get shut off in favor of visual acuity, audio acuity, tactile inputs to prepare you for a fight. We are a species designed and built around competing with saber-toothed tigers for snacks.
Right.
And now we're competing with parking spots. Like, it's kind of a different environment now, but we're still hardwired for those fights. And so that's what's happening. When we get stressed out, we think we're about to be in a fight with a saber-toothed tiger, and so we kind of enter a fight or flight mode. You ever get in an argument with somebody, and a couple hours later, you're like, oh, that's what I should have said. You know? That's literally your prefrontal cortex re-engaging, right? That's you coming out of that fight or flight mode. And so that's the process by which stress can activate that shift in your brain. And why that's important is because that can be activated by a nasty email, or a weird conversation, or traffic, for God's sake, is absolutely road rage.
Yeah.
Oh, so but what I think is really interesting to consider is the two most prevalent types of cancer are reproductive and digestive, right? And those are the systems that get shut down in a high stress event. And so I think that by itself is evidence that we're living in extraordinarily high stress environments that our organism is not designed to be in.
Do you think veterans getting out of the military, or just the military in general, makes it harder for veterans after they get out to make that process in their brain, and it not feeling overloaded or reacting in a different way than it would have if they hadn't served in the military?
Well, the more traumas you encounter, the more triggers you will have to make that transition. The analogy that I often make is that I was blown up by a bomb in a road cone, right? So now I've got a real problem with road cones. I think they're dangerous, right? Not logically, but emotionally. So I need to figure out a way that I can drive through a construction zone without losing my mind, right? And so that's the process of understanding that road cones aren't dangerous, and that I could behave normally around them. But we have that same reaction to other stimulus, like human beings. Like, should a human being try to kill me, maybe a whole bunch of times, I might kind of develop a real problem with people, right? Maybe just being around person would put me in a heightened state where I'm not making those prefrontal cortex, smart decisions, and start acting weird and antisocial. And so, if you start thinking about some of the more volatile veterans that you might have encountered in your life or seen through the media, that's probably what's going on with that individual.
Do you think childhood experiences contribute to making that harder for veterans?
Yeah,
after
absolutely.
going through deployments or whatever it may be?
Yeah, well, the more we learn about the impact of adverse childhood experiences, the more we discover how impactful those are on later life. And so I think that anyone who's spending time around young people, and the brain isn't fully developed until 25, right? So anyone who's spending time around young people know that whatever you do around those people, you are leaving a fingerprint on their life.
Oh yeah.
And so
human parrots.
Yeah, you do with that what you will. For me, I take a high degree of responsibility being around little people, and so much so that I try to avoid it as much as possible because they kind of terrify me. But I digress. Those adverse childhood experiences, they have a huge impact on a myriad of adult behaviors, but probably, at least as it relates to most importantly, is impulsivity. Adverse childhood experiences increases impulsive behavior. High impulsivity relates to a high risk of suicide.
There was a set of questions that pertain to that yesterday that we were going over. Are those 10 questions that we went over or that you showed us?
Yeah.
Are those only 10 questions, or is it like a giant list of them?
Yeah, so you're talking about an ACEs score. ACEs is an acronym for adverse childhood experiences, and it's 10 questions,
So
only. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a score of 0 out of 10. And simply put, the higher your score, the higher likelihood of these adverse impacts on your adult life.
I answered yes to every single one of those questions.
Yeah, I'm at about like an 8 or a 9.
And after you had explained it and what it was pertaining to and how it might affect you later in life, I kind of sat there in silence in my own head for a couple minutes, just thinking about, Jesus, man, like, am I doing this to my kids or anything like that? And it's what if you could? Can you think of any of the questions that were on there? I know a couple of them.
Yeah. So it's about being abused, physically, emotionally, and sexually by individuals that enter in a position of trust to you as a young person, be that a parent, guardian, teacher, and also it's about have you experienced abandonment? Have you experienced resource insecurity in terms of having to wear dirty clothes over and over again, or not having access to healthy food, nutrition? Is just really a score of how shitty your childhood was, right?
Yeah.
Let's just codify
Right.
that like we like to do, right? So that's all it is, and it can be tough to take that score, and yeah, I
Definitely smacked me in the face.
feel you.
What was that invisibility one that you honed in on?
Invisibility. Are we talking about the
Audience.
invisible audience?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is separate from an ACEs score. That's a developmental thing.
That's right.
Where most people, I think it's a function of their normalizing behavior. Will go through a period in which they have an imaginary audience. here you go. You know how kids will just like unabashedly pick their nose like in public,
Right.
and then at a certain point they get real self-aware
Yeah.
and they stop doing crap like that. This invisible audience mechanism is what helps make that transition to being a more socially acceptable, member of the tribe, right? And so what that looks like is even when you're alone, you will engage in behaviors as though there's someone there watching you. And some people get stuck in that, and it's an arrested development issue where they will, throughout going into adulthood, continue behaving when they're alone as though there's an invisible audience there watching them. And where this can become problematic is if it's your part of your identity that you're the dude who can drink everyone under the table, right? And you're the hold my beer guy and hold my other beer while you're at it guy.
Right.
That guy might very well sit alone in his home and drink a whole pint of whiskey just because of how hard it makes him look to his invisible audience.
That's definitely something to sit there and man, I feel like a lot of people, I've met so many people where I'm thinking to myself, dude, you can't do this because, even though there's no one around here, like somebody might be, I'm trying to think of a good example, but I treat people in a certain way where it's like, I'm not going to park in the parking spot this way because what if somebody else is going to pull in here and now I'm a dick and they're going to, ding my door or something. And it's not that I'm just caring about what's the word I'm looking for? Damn it. But I've met so many people that I feel don't think like that in any way, and selfish is a really good word for it.
Okay,
But
so I think so
cognizant of other people.
you're maybe calling out like more narcissistic behaviors in the
Yeah.
world, like the people who maybe didn't go through the process of having that invisible audience and normalize
Yes.
their behaviors.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, everything's on a spectrum, I guess.
No. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I know I definitely need to hone in on making a change to that, and I have over my life, but some of the stuff that we spoke about the other day were definitely things to really think about, and I think people should really consider doing classes like that, hanging out with groups that are going over things like that, and if they're looking to do something like that, CRF is going to be doing that more.
Yeah,
Correct.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, so we have a 3-pronged mission to preventing tragedy, and that is through peer coaching, through fostering resilient communities, and through education and advocacy. And so, this would fall under the education piece. And, the intent of that class, Adapt and Overcome is what it's called, is to reframe the problems that we have societally and individually in a way that makes them seem more surmountable. And if it gave you something to reflect on, then I think mission accomplished.
No, seriously, it definitely did. Before we end things, could you the team that you have with CRF is amazing. I've had Bob on, and he's a great guy to hang out with.
Love Bob.
Yeah, and just now meeting Ray, I'm genuinely excited to talk with him more. Just about, it seems like we're both on the same wavelength of veterans need to know what benefits are out there for them, and he's right there with me, which I love.
You and Ray are very on the same mission, and I think you guys are going to make a fantastic team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, dude, what you guys got going on is amazing. Could you go through a couple of the people, your main guys that you have running things with CRF, if people want to get in contact with you or them? What team do you have?
Yeah, so we've got Bob kind of is in charge of like the physical fitness stuff. If you want to work on nutrition, if you want to hang out in the gym, if you got physical fitness goals, Bob is your guy. Ray is and you, Joe, you're the benefits dudes. So if you want to improve your relationship with the VA, you're the guys, right? We've got Elena and Shannon and Jill, and they head up the Wild Women's Group, and so that's more focused on women specifically. And so that's if there are women who aren't wanting to spend time around men because of a history of traumas.
Right.
We've created a safe space for them that's exclusive to them.
Is it specific to female vets?
No, you don't have to be a veteran.
Nice.
And then everything we do is by veterans, but it's for anyone. Who else do we have? So Noah is in charge of the Backcountry Sawyers project, and so that's all about chainsawing and what have you in the backcountry. Elena, as she wears many hats with the organization.
Seriously.
She does. She's overworked. She's our chief of operations, and then she's also the liaison to the 8th Judicial District here in Larimer County, where all justice-involved veterans will get a peer coach, and
nice.
we'll be providing those.
Veterans involved in the that are going through criminal issues.
Any criminal justice issues.
Nice.
Yeah. So we got the court started. And it took since 2019 is when we started advocating for it, and so it's taken about 6 years.
Time flies. Dude.
Yeah,
I'm surprised. I actually just learned something specific to veterans if they end up getting incarcerated, involved with their VA compensation or pension or whatever, their disability money, and I want to say they take it if you end up going to prison for whatever it may be, your disability momentarily till you get out and file the paperwork again gets brought down to like 10%.
Yeah, if you're incarcerated as a veteran, you will lose access to your disability, which can be super impactful if there's like a spouse and children, depending on that income.
Yep.
Yeah, that is not great, and definitely an incentive for us as veterans to be hanging out in healthy communities and encouraging each other to make smart decisions. Because, I have bad days. I make bad choices, and when I'm in that headspace, I know that I need to show up, for you and for the other people around us, and that's what pulls me out of it.
It's a good motivator.
So if I didn't have that, right, where would I be? We need our communities, whatever that looks like for you.
Well,
find one.
You guys are an amazing community, and
or make one.
Yeah. Yes. CRF. You guys are an amazing community, and I'm genuinely happy that I met you. And it's going to be a fun year. I'm excited to see where it takes us. I really appreciate you coming on here to talk about CRF, Combat Recovery Foundation, and what you guys do and what you plan on doing and where we can take it. So thank you for coming on, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on, Joe. Appreciate you.